Wow, Marjorie Taylor Greene really didn't hold back when it came to Donald Trump, did she? She opened up about how MAGA Republicans appear all friendly in public, but behind the scenes, they're throwing him under the bus. It's honestly hard to believe she pointed out that the death threats she's been facing are tied to Trump's behavior. She reached out to him saying something like, "Hey, when you're calling me Marjorie Trader Greene, you're basically giving your fans the thumbs up to threaten me and my kid. Can you ease up on that?" And Trump's response? Let's just say it wasn't gentle. She didn't spill all the details, but her description of his words was pretty scathing. It must have been quite a shock for her to see Trump buddying up to what she called a PPP, or Pedophile Protection Program. Marjorie just wanted to clarify that her criticism was aimed at a sex trafficking ring linked to Epstein, and somehow that ticked Trump off. He even warned her about releasing certain files, suggesting she'd be putting a lot of powerful individuals in jeopardy, which is interesting to say the least. It's almost like he thought those who were involved in such horrible things would somehow come out as the real victims. Marjorie definitely didn't hide how disgusted she was with everything going on. She also took Trump to task for things like his meetings with MBS and his backing of the crypto industry, arguing that his actions completely contradict the America First mantra he likes to claim. By this point, she made it clear that he can label himself as MAGA all he wants, but he's not really prioritizing America. Marjorie recently made an appearance on 60 Minutes with Leslie Stahl, which reminded me of that notorious 2020 interview with Trump. You know, the one where he claimed to have a health care plan, all while waving a binder filled with 600 pages? Then came that moment when Leslie pointed out that some of those pages were completely blank. Trump didn't take that well at all. He just got up and walked out, clearly showing his disdain for 60 Minutes and CBS. This whole incident caused quite a stir at CBS, leading to a change in ownership to some folks who seem much more pro-Trump. So, let's jump ahead to Sunday, where Marjorie Taylor Greene shows up on 60 Minutes with Leslie Stahl. She confidently declares that people should check out her full interview, stating, "I'm America first, America only, and no one can get in the way of that." Then she gets into a serious topic, her experience with death threats, which she claims were directly linked to Trump. She tried getting J.D. Vance to look into it, but he just brushed her off, and Kash Patel didn't respond either, leaving her feeling ignored. Marjorie even confronted Trump about these threats, but she didn't share what he said, only that it was very unpleasant. When pressed for more details by Leslie, all she could reveal was that his response was extremely unkind. She also mentioned standing up for young women who have been abused, explaining how Trump called her a traitor even after she fought for them for 5 years. This realization led her to step back from what she described as Trump's cover-up of a child sex trafficking ring. It's fascinating how some MAGA Republicans make fun of Trump when the cameras are off, yet when it works for them, they put on the MAGA hat. It's almost like they believe that by aligning with him, they can hold on to their power. She noted that they laugh at his mannerisms, health, and appearance, suggesting he's become somewhat of a joke to them. When Leslie asked if Trump is leaning more towards the establishment over the MAGA base, she pointed out his support for a crypto bill that seemed to favor his donors rather nicely. It's striking how it always seems like the billionaires get what they need, while the average person is still searching for real change, especially in crucial areas like healthcare. Marjorie made it clear that it's less about helping the American people and more about supporting Trump's donors. She recounted how Trump claimed that releasing the Epstein files could endanger powerful individuals he's close to, saying, "Marjorie, you can't be asking for it. you're going to start hurting people. Switching gears a bit, Thomas Massie is leading the way with the discharge petition to publicize those Epstein files. Even though the release date is approaching, it feels like Trump will continue to try to cover it up. Still, Massie expressed some appreciation for Marjorie Taylor Greene and Nancy Mace for having the courage to sign the petition. Good news, the Epstein Files Transparency Act passed with overwhelming support in both the House and the Senate. It's impressive that there was only one dissenting vote in the House and none in the Senate, leaving Trump with no choice but to sign it. Marjorie Taylor Greene brought up some interesting points as well. She made it clear that while MAGA belongs to Trump, she prefers to see herself as America first. She pointed out some of Trump's questionable decisions, like when he welcomed Crown Prince MBS, who has links to the murder of an American journalist. And then there was the time Trump told MAGA Republicans that Zoran Mani was terrible, only to cozy up to him later. It left her wondering about his true intentions, especially when she saw him taking pictures with Manny in front of a portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt. Then there's Ted Cruz, who Marjorie described as a Texas senator a bit too obsessed with Tucker Carlson. One might expect a senator to focus on issues like rising living costs or the looming healthcare crisis with the government funding deadline approaching at the end of January, but no, he seems to be all in on Carlson, which is quite a turn of events. Now, shifting gears a bit, Marjorie Taylor Greene recently shared something that really caught attention. She recounted a tweet from a MAGA supporter in San Diego who was venting about the high costs of health insurance. For his family of four, he was looking at a deductible of $15,000 and $20,000 out of pocket. That's a tough situation to be in, right? Greene chimed in, echoing frustrations about the healthcare system, saying, fix health insurance, and pointed out the oddity of not placing blame on Venezuela for their struggles while we seem to be stirring up conflict over there instead of fixing our healthcare issues here. She also discussed her own experience with receiving death threats after she chose to stand with survivors of Epstein. Greene explained how that stance changed her relationship with Trump, leading to even more harassment. She shared a chilling list of what she faced: doxing, pizza deliveries to her home, pipe bomb threats, and even threats directed at her son, Derek. Thankfully, the police and local FBI got involved, stepping up in response to these serious threats. After receiving some really alarming threats aimed at my son, I reached out to Trump, hoping for more support than the cold responses I got. I also looped in Chief of Staff Susie Wilds and Deputy Chief James Blair, but it was like talking to a brick wall. No reply at all. It honestly left me shocked by how I was treated by the top Republican leaders, especially after all I had done to help get their boss elected. I've been consistent, paying my dues to the NRCC every single Congress, including this one, and have an impressive 98% voting record aligned with Trump. On a brighter note, I did hear back from Kash Patel when I shared the details of those threats. J.D. Vance also responded, and he was genuinely kind and sympathetic, but beyond that, it's been pretty quiet. You know, the Republicans really ought to take a good hard look at themselves. Are they just running around like mindless pawns following orders, or are they truly representing the needs and views of their constituents? When you've got a Republican majority in Congress that just nods along with whatever the White House says, they're not doing their voters any favors. Everything being dictated by executive orders only leads to temporary fixes for the American people. And let's be real, they're not that gullible. They can see right through it. Then Marjorie Taylor Greene jumps into the fray, talking about political violence being out of control. It's ironic, though, since she's had quite the hand in escalating that violence herself. It's like she carved her path in Congress by dividing people, and now that Trump seems to have turned on her, she has a lot to say for sure. She even came out with a bold statement saying, "You need to serve out your full term. I haven't suffered enough for you while you sit behind your screen all day. Do I need to stay until I'm assassinated like Charlie Kirk? Would that be good enough for you?" You can hear her frustration aimed at those online warriors who think that sharing opinions on social media is the same as doing real political work. "Get off your ass and run for Congress," she added. She's competitive, claiming she has fought harder than anyone in the real political arena, not just from a keyboard. And speaking of supporters, Alex Jones, one of Trump's biggest fans, recently dropped a bombshell.
I am seriously inches away from not supporting Trump anymore. Because I am not going to watch him commit political suicide.
Marjorie Taylor Greene seems to be packing her bags to leave Congress. Kevin McCarthy, the former speaker, had some thoughts about that.
Okay. What happened, by the way, with MTG? She's leaving Congress?
She's leaving Congress, but I don't think that's the end that you'll see about her. And I think, look, I've always believed that anytime you have an elected official that's known by three initials, they're effective on what they do. And I found Marjorie to be very effective, but she's almost like a canary in a coal mine. And this is something inside Congress they better wake up, because they're going to get a lot of people retiring, and they got to focus. I think keeping members out of Congress, you only get 2 years to be in the majority. And if the Democrats get you not to work every day for 2 months, that's losing 2 months of the majority.
Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries has been pretty vocal lately, too, and he certainly didn't hold back in his recent comments. So here's the deal. Donald Trump and the Republicans are really struggling right now. They've made a lot of promises this year, like lowering living costs, but things have only gotten worse. Housing, childcare, groceries, electricity bills, you name it, they're all skyrocketing. And they've dropped the ball on extending those Affordable Care Act tax credits, which means healthcare is about to get a lot tougher for millions of folks out there. On the election front, Trump has become pretty unpopular, and it has hit hard from New Jersey all the way to California. Some Republicans are looking to exit the stage faster than anyone expected, with reports suggesting that as many as 20 House Republicans might be announcing their retirement soon, all while Trump remains a looming figure in the background. MAGA Mike seems convinced they might lose their House majority before the midterms even get here, and it looks like others are definitely keeping an eye on what Marjorie Taylor Greene is up to. Now there's this MAGA Republican in Congress, Rothman, and he recently commented on those Affordable Care Act subsidies. He said, if this came to the floor, it would pass. But he also hinted that MAGA Mike might be too chicken to bring it to the table.
And if a vote on subsidies does come to the House before the end of the year, does it pass the House?
I hate to guess. My guess is there are enough people there who will vote yes on anything that if it is the Democrat plan, I think it'll pass the House. I shouldn't say that, but you only need to add 3 or 4 Republicans to all the Democrats and it'll pass.
Meanwhile, we've got MAGA Mike spinning a narrative claiming this has been the most productive Congress in history, which is a bold claim to say the least.
If we stay unified, there is absolutely nothing that we can't achieve. And we've already demonstrated that this Congress. We've had one of the most productive Congresses in the history of the institution.
Do you need the president to get on the phone to some reluctant GOP members in the House and say, come on, come on?
He's been very helpful at a couple of junctures along the way where we've had big legislation, the one big beautiful bill, the Working Families Tax Cut, other things where you had 2 or 3 or 4 holdouts, which I can't afford. Now remember, in previous years, speakers had 25, 30, 40 seat majorities. I have a razor-thin majority. I have to get every single Republican on most days, and so it takes a lot of work, but we're going to get there.
Remember when the government shut down and MAGA Mike said they would roll out a health care plan right after it ended? Doesn't that sound a bit familiar? You know, it's interesting to think about how Trump used to promise that things would get done in just 2 weeks, but that never seemed to materialize. It really feels like a mind game at this point, and people are definitely starting to lose their patience with it.
If the government reopened tonight, would Republicans have a plan to address the Obamacare subsidies?
Yes. Yes.
You would have a
we do.
plan
We
tonight.
have proposals to. We
Okay,
could
but
have
a
that ready
proposal's different than a
immediately.
plan.
Yes.
I'd love to know what you think about all this, so feel free to drop a comment below.